Commission on Higher Education.
Morning.
Morning.
Present.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you. And lastly, our educators from the different state universities and colleges.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning
Good
po.
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Morning.
Again, we would like to thank you for joining this webinar session despite your busy schedule as we adapt to this new normal. Today's session, entitled Laying the Context, Strengthening the Future Readiness and Resilience of MSME in the Age of Disruption, shall situate the importance of MSMEs in nations building, enumerate and discuss the different challenges and government efforts and initiatives in assisting MSMEs in adapting their operations to Industry 4.0. We will join today by our resource speaker, Dr. Rafaelita M. Aldaba. She is currently the Undersecretary for Competitiveness and Innovation Group from the Department of Trade and Industry. She is also a member of the Board of Governors of the Philippines Board of Investment as the country's primary industry development arm and lead investment promotion agency. She leads the DTI's initiative in establishing an inclusive innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in collaboration with other government agencies, industries, and the academe under the Inclusive Philippine Innovation and Entrepreneurship Roadmap. To deliver Session 1, let us welcome Undersecretary Rafaelita M. Aldaba.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. It's good to see you all,
Yes,
although in
Morning.
a virtual in this online platform. I hope you're all keeping well. Okay. Can we? Is the PowerPoint ready? Because I'm not the one managing controlling my PowerPoint. It's with the secretariat. Are the slides
Sec
ready?
Aldaba, you may want to turn on your
I'm
video
being
and
loaded.
greet our participants.
Being loaded. Okay. Yes, good morning once again. Okay, while the slides are being uploaded, maybe, yeah, just to continue from where we left off a while ago, as I was saying, had circumstances been different, meaning if this pandemic occurred like 10 or 20 years ago, it would have been
Morning,
much
Yusek.
more difficult, right? Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, I can see the first. Okay, so maybe
Hello,
we
Yusek.
should. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so in the interest of time, maybe I should already start. So I'm here to talk about strengthening the future readiness and resilience of MSMEs in the age of disruptions. And of course, when we say disruptions, the first thing that comes to mind is the COVID-19 global pandemic, which has disrupted not only supply chains, but most importantly, our lives, right? As the health crisis has already turned into an economic crisis. As regions have been put under economic community quarantine, businesses stopped operating except for essential goods and services. Workers have been laid off or furloughed. Many businesses shut down, and there are some that are
Alanisek,
already
just give us your cue if you're ready for the presentation. Thank you.
okay. Okay, and to continue, and there are some that are already on the brink of collapse, and many of us are now working from home. And like what I've said, if this pandemic occurred 20 years ago, for instance, when the technology was still as advanced as it is now, things would have been different. I don't know how work from home would be done, and I'm not sure whether we would be having these webinars. Okay, next slide, please. Here's the presentation outline. There are four main things that I would like to discuss. First would be for us to understand Industry 4.0 and its implications to the Philippines, especially to our micro, small, and medium enterprises. And then I'll try to go faster on the first part. It's just a review. I'm sure many of you have been attending many of these Industry 4.0 seminars, right? So in the second part, this one is really fresh. It's based on a survey that we recently conducted on Industry 4.0. So in here, we tried assessing the readiness of our industries to Industry 4.0. And it's the first time, kayo po mauuna, it's the first time I'm presenting the results. And then for the third part, we will, of course, discuss the inclusive innovation industrial strategy of the Philippines. Many countries have their own programs in preparation for Industry 4.0. So in our case, it's the I-Cube-S. And then for the last part, of course, I'll be sharing with you our post-COVID Industry 4.0 plans and programs. Next slide. Next, please. Okay. Like what I've said, so prior to this unprecedented crisis, the entry of the fourth industrial revolution has already been causing business disruptions. In the services sector, for instance, we've witnessed the emergence of new business models like Grab and Uber, Angkas, in transport, and this disrupted taxis, right? And then they expanded to food delivery. So you have Grab Food, there's Lala Move for logistics as well. And for retail, we have Amazon, Alibaba, Zalora, Shopee, Lazada, Netflix for the film industry. And then you have Airbnb for accommodation. And all this disrupted the traditional way of delivering services. In manufacturing, traditional manufacturing is being disrupted as operations are undergoing digital transformation to Industry 4.0, using AI, using machine learning, big data analytics, cloud computing, and 3D printing towards smart manufacturing, smart factory, and the creation of smart products. For example, you have home assistants like Alexa or Google to play music, turn on the lights, or turn off the lights to cook, and an endless list of things we can ask them to do. And in the first industrial revolution, so okay, let's just review, mechanization emerged from the discovery of steam power and water. In the second industrial revolution, there was mass production through assembly line and discovery of electricity. And in the third industrial revolution, we had automation through electronics and IT. So in the fourth industrial revolution, it actually evolved from the third industrial revolution technologies. Like for instance, in terms of the hardware, automation and robots, we already had this in the past. But what makes the fourth industrial revolution different is the machine's connectivity, flexibility, and functionality in executing tasks. They are also able to collect data and transmit this data through the industrial Internet of Things. And with big data analytics, the processing of vast quantities of data in near real time becomes possible. The fourth industrial revolution is based on cyber physical systems, as you can see on the slide. It's the merging of the physical and virtual worlds. These are smart, networked systems with embedded sensors, processors, actuators, which are designed to sense and interact with the physical world and support in real time. So what are the implications of these new technologies? Number one, they could spur the development of new production techniques and business models that would transform our global production systems. Second, they could drive more distributed and connected value chains. They could trigger selective reshoring, nearshoring, and other structural changes in the global value chain. And of course, as we witness these changes in the GVC, there would be certain skills and capabilities that will be required for every stage of the GVC. Number four, they could add another layer of complexity to the already challenging tasks of developing globally competitive industries. We know that as you adopt these technologies, productivity would increase. But the fear is these technologies may displace workers whose tasks would be automated. And hence, they also put at risk the viability of low-cost manufacturing and services exports as the main source of growth and development. So it becomes really very challenging for developing countries, but it's not only for developing countries, but as well, everyone is actually affected. But at the same time, despite these challenges, there are opportunities that could arise from the fourth industrial revolution. And for us, the way we look at it, there is an opportunity for us to leapfrog to digital transformation, to industrial development. And we look at Industry 4.0 as an opportunity for the Philippines to upgrade to digital industrialization. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so I'm showing you the results of a study which was conducted by the World Economic Forum that looked at the readiness of countries across the different parts of the world for Industry 4.0. And as you can see, there were 4 groups that were identified based on factors of production and the structure of production of these different countries. So the 4 groups are leading. There's also the high potential, the nascent, and the legacy. And where is the Philippines? The Philippines belongs to the legacy countries. This is characterized by a strong production base, but with unfavorable drivers of production. And hence, we are at risk for the future, according to the analysis of the WEF. And so for the legacy group, the report is recommending countries like not only the Philippines, but India, Thailand, Mexico, and Turkey. They also fall under the same group. The recommendation is for us to focus our policies on reskilling and upskilling our workforce, upgrading our technology platform, and of course, to pursue innovation policies. Next, please. So in the next slide, okay, it's here. I'm now showing you the results of 2 studies that were conducted by the McKinsey Group as well as the AIM team. And in these 2 studies, they only focus on the Philippines. they tried assessing the employment impact of Industry 4.0. And McKinsey found that 48% of activities in the Philippines, and this is equivalent to 18.2 million jobs, could be automated. 6 million would be in the agriculture sector, 3.4 in the retail sector, and 2.4 million in manufacturing. And in the chart that you can see, these are the results from the AIM study, and they showed basically the same. The results are as follows. Agriculture, forestry, and fishing has the highest probability of jobs being automated at around 90+% probability. And for the financial insurance, the probability is 79%. For mining and quarrying, it's 78%. Construction, 76%. For accommodation and food service, 72%. Manufacturing is at 65%. Public administration, this is where we belong. Government workers are under public administration, and the probability is much lower. It's at 40%. For human health, this is for our doctors and nurses and caregivers, it's 33%. So it's much lower, definitely. And for education, it's the lowest, with a very low probability of jobs in the sector being automated, so 15%. So for our teachers, mababa yung probability that you would be replaced by robots. Although right now, I know this is where we're going, right? Given social distancing and the health protocols, so we really need to ensure that we would be able to educate our students, but no longer in face-to-face approach, but through an online platform. Well, probably when a vaccine has been discovered, this would change. But what I'm trying to say here is that in both these two studies, the message is low-skilled. It's the low-skilled, the low-educated, and routinized jobs that are most vulnerable to the adverse effect of technological change. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, so if we look closely at Philippine industries, many are still in the process of transition from Industry 2.0 to 3.0, but there are already some that are already taking steps towards digitalization and smart manufacturing. Industries such as automotive and electronics are still in the labor-intensive stages. IT BPM is largely dominated by BPOs and call centers, where tasks could easily be replaced by machines. And in the agriculture sector, our weakest link, this is still in the mechanization phase. So a lot of work needs to be done. Next, please. But there are companies like, these are the subsidiaries based in the Philippines. Toyota, BMAC, Epson, Nidec, and Tayo that are already starting to innovate and plan their shift to Industry 4.0 technologies and products. Next, please. So what about our MSME sector? Are they ready for this technology and business disruption? And as we know, our MSMEs comprise 99.52% of total enterprises. And mostly they are in wholesale and retail with a share of 46% of the total. And recall that in the McKinsey report, 3.4 million jobs in the retail sector could be automated. Meanwhile, in accommodation and food comprises 14% of the total number of establishments, while manufacturing accounts for 12% of the total. And based on the AIM study, jobs in the accommodation and food sector have a 72% probability of being automated and 65% in manufacturing. Note also that MSMEs contribute 63% of total employment and 36% of total value added. Next, please. Now, MSMEs are facing some fundamental issues like access to finance and access to technology and skilled labor, along with supply chain and logistics problems. And as we know, though there are sufficient funds, banks are reluctant to lend to MSMEs due to their concerns on bankability and are thus considered as high risks and high costs. And so it is against these weaknesses in the MSME sector that we now try to address the question as to how will they now face the challenges and opportunities arising from Industry 4.0. Next, please. Now, we just want to quickly share with you what DTI's programs for MSMEs, the kind of support that we are providing to help our MSMEs grow and develop. We have programs that have been providing operational, technical, marketing, human resource development, and entrepreneurship support in order to grow and develop robust MSMEs and to allow them to contribute significantly to the country's economic growth. So we have negosyo centers that provide ease of doing business services to MSMEs. Next, please. And then in the next slides, next two slides, we also have the SMERA. This is the SME Roving Academy and Mentor Me, which are learning, coaching, and mentoring programs to enhance the competitiveness of our MSMEs. And then there's also a financing program. This is called the Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-Asenso, or P3. This is a socialized microfinancing program for specifically for micro enterprises in order to provide them with affordable loans as an alternative to the usurious 5/6 money lending scheme. And then there's also, next please, next slide. There's also the Small Business Corporation, which is providing MSME loans. And then shared services facilities. This program has been providing machinery, equipment, tools, systems, accessories, and other auxiliary items in order to provide skills and knowledge that would also lead to the improvement of our MSMEs' competitiveness. And under the SSF program, we have also fabrication laboratories that are supporting the prototyping needs of MSMEs by providing them with modern equipment such as 3D printers, 3D scanners, digital storage, oscilloscope, along with design and grading software. And then there's the OTOP, the One Town, One Product, which is a marketing program to promote the growth and development of our local products. Next, please. Okay, so in here, I would also want to share with you, just so we could update those existing programs that we have, and these are the programs aligned with the pandemic, with the crisis that we're now faced with. There is a 30 billion program, financing program for MSMEs, and this is in partnership with the Development Bank of the Philippines and the Land Bank. And this is specifically for small and medium enterprises that are venturing in the production of COVID-related products. And then there's also a 1 billion fund. It's called COVID-19 Assistance to Restart Enterprises, or CARES. Again, this is to help businesses rehabilitate their operations. there's another program. It's a 203 million livelihood seeding program. So this is the negosyo sa barangay. And then lastly, 50 billion small business wage subsidy program. Although this is not being implemented by DTI, I just included it because I know this is an important program. Although I think this is already finished, or the funds have already run out. So we're not sure. Maybe there would be additional funds to be provided. Okay, next please. Next slide. Okay, so at this point, I would like to share with you the results of the technology utilization survey that we conducted towards the end of the year, last year. And the survey, as already stated earlier, this aimed to help us understand the Industry 4.0 readiness of our firms and industries. And the survey tool that we used was provided by MESA. This is the Manufacturing Enterprise Solutions Association. It's a worldwide not-for-profit community of manufacturing companies, IT, hardware, and software suppliers, and system integrators. The aim, of course, is to improve business results and production operations through optimized application and implementation of IT and best management practices. So, as you can see on the slide, the survey assessed 8 technology dimensions in the manufacturing operations of a company. And this is based on a self-assessment by the company. There were no evaluators, but it's the companies themselves who assessed where they are in the range of steps that were provided in the survey questionnaire. And the ratings are from 1 to 5. 1 is the lowest, meaning you have no technology utilization. And then the highest is 5, which gives you, which is an indication that the company is already into technology utilization at the highest level. So the highest score, since there are 8, is 40. Okay? Let me just go through each one of these. These are planning and scheduling, equipment connectivity and data management, manufacturing activity management, material management and handling, equipment maintenance, quality, shop floor visibility, and cyber security. So these are the very important components that were assessed based on the technology utilization of the company. Next, please. In the next slide, so these are already the results. As you can see, our average total score is 18 out of the highest average total score of 40. And the highest technology utilization is in the areas of cybersecurity, quality, and manufacturing activity management. The lowest scores are in equipment maintenance and equipment connectivity and data management. So our companies are not utilizing technologies in these areas. Equipment maintenance, of course, is very important. Equipment connectivity, which is part of Industry 4.0, and data management, and obviously they're not yet there, right? Okay, next please. And the next slide gives us technology utilization by industry. So across the different manufacturing sectors, the highest technology utilization is in the following products: other non-metallic products, paper and paper products, computer, electronic, and optical products, motor vehicles, and pharmaceutical products. I don't know if this comes as a surprise to you, although I'm a bit surprised in for paper and paper products. I didn't realize that their score in terms of technology utilization is high. I'm not surprised with other non-metallic, because I know of some companies that are really regularly updating and upgrading their technologies. And of course, computer, electronic, and optical products, I think that is obvious. Motor vehicles and pharma, okay, also obvious. Now, where the lowest technology utilization is actually in textile, in leather, in beverages, wearing apparel, repair and installation of machinery and equipment, along with food products. Now, in these sectors, as we know, these are quite labor intensive, and hence it's not surprising that we're seeing our company's technology utilization is still low, relatively low as compared to the other sectors. Next, please. Okay, so now let's look at the characteristics of firms. And in here, what we observe is that firms that are large, firms with foreign equity, firms that are operating inside economic zones, and firms that are exporters have the highest technology utilization scores. Again, I'm not surprised that we're getting these results. For our micro and small enterprises, however, again, this is not surprising, they have the lowest technology utilization scores relative to medium and large enterprises. So just look at the first quadrant, okay? You can deduce that, finding. Okay, next slide. Now we go to, I think the next slide is on the geographic distribution of the companies. And again, this is not surprising. The highest technology utilization is still in firms located in NCR, in Region 3, and Region 4A. These three regions, they actually contribute the bulk of our GDP. And I think one important implication is that we do not want the adoption of these new technologies to widen the digital divide in the country. And so it's really important to provide the necessary digital infrastructure in areas outside of NCR, outside of Calabarzon, and outside of Region 3. Although, of course, we still need to improve the existing digital infrastructure in these three regions, but at the same time, I mean, it's really very challenging. We need investments in order to ensure that the entire country would be digitally connected. Next, please. In the next slide, okay, we also asked the companies regarding their planned investments in the next 5 years. And as you can see, 75% of large enterprises would invest in software. 47% of medium enterprises would invest in machinery. These are the highest, okay? And while small enterprises would invest in software. That's 45% of small enterprises, while 54% of the micro enterprises said they would invest in machinery. So on the whole, our enterprises, whether large, small, medium, or micro, would be investing in both machinery and software. And I think this is a good indication. Although this survey was conducted in December, prior to the COVID crisis. So I think we need to redo this just so we'll be able to find out how these decisions, how these perceptions with respect to technology investments would change given the current scenario that we have. Okay, next please. Okay, now another question is how open are our companies to Industry 4.0? And as you can see, 7 out of 10 micro enterprises are open or familiar with Industry 4.0, and this is good, right? 6 out of 10 for our SMEs, and 7 out of 10 exporters, of course, are open or familiar with Industry 4.0. Because I don't think if you are an exporter and you are not upgrading your technology, it would be really difficult to compete, right? And we also ask them regarding their primary considerations for Industry 4.0 transformation. And this is the first chart that you can see on top. The most important are improvement in productivity and competitiveness, followed by cost of investment and funding. So this is a recurring concern. Innovation and technological advancement. Of course, these are very important reasons in order for us to be competitive. Now, in the second chart, this gives us the barriers that firms perceive in adopting Industry 4.0 technology. And again, it's the financial capability that ranks the highest, followed by market conditions and our poor digital infrastructure. So to overcome these barriers, firms are formulating their internal corporate strategies. They are also looking into prospective loan applications and carrying out R&D. And to me, really, these results are very encouraging, and hence our government policies and programs should be geared towards addressing these concerns and perceived barriers to Industry 4.0 transformation by our industries. But at the same time, since we have many representatives from the SUCs, from the academe who are here, I think these findings are important in terms of aligning our curriculum towards skills, that digital skills, along with changing the mindsets of our students, our future workers, for them to be more innovative and creative, right? Okay, so more on that later. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of preparations for Industry 4.0, our neighboring countries all have ongoing programs. Making Indonesia 4.0, which has a budget of 178 million US dollars. Malaysia's Industry Forward, and Malaysia has the highest among these 4 countries here, at 1.25 billion US dollars. Thailand 4.0 with 331 million US dollars. And also, if you look at their different industry priorities, the most common, meaning you can find them in all 4 countries, you have food and beverage, auto, and electronics, which are also, by the way, these are the same industries that we are prioritizing in the Philippines. But in terms of budget, for the Philippines, we have not yet allocated funding for the digital transformation of our industries. But we're getting there. Okay, next, please. Like what I've said, our program is the ICUBE-S, or Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategy, and this aims to grow and develop globally competitive and innovative industries. We put innovation at the front and center of our new industrial policy, and you can see the framework here. And it's given by the relationship between competition, innovation, and entrepreneurship and productivity. The interplay, it's the interplay of these different elements that would serve as channels through which investments, employment, and growth would be generated. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, now just so it would be clear for us how all these relationships would be working in relation to Industry 4.0 technologies, I am reproducing this framework. It's from the UNIDO, and which I did a lot, no, not a lot, but some tweaks to adapt our own industrial strategy or industrial policy. So as you can see, with the adoption of new technologies, the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies can lead to both innovation and competitiveness, right? Innovation, because with this new technology, you can create new products and services in the market. And when you do that, you will have more, you'll be able to generate more quality jobs, higher incomes, as well as create new industries and environmental goods. And of course, the environment would play a very important role in all of this, and most especially in the new normal as well as in the post-COVID scenario. Now, okay, so we have innovation with these new technologies also could lead through to the adoption of smart manufacturing, the building of smart factories. So we're now talking about the manufacturing process. In the earlier part, we are talking about product innovation, and in here, it's the process innovation that is at work. And hence, that could lead to improvements in our competitiveness. Meaning, because of the adoption of these new technologies, the procurement of this advanced equipment and machines, our energy efficient use could be made more efficient, our industrial competitiveness would increase, and thus there would be linkages creation to supporting industries. So we're able to address all these supply chain gaps that we are now experiencing if we're able to adopt these new technologies. And all of this could lead to an inclusive, sustainable industrial development. Okay, next please. And the I-Cube-S has 6 major strategies. Number 1, we are embracing Industry 4.0. We are developing innovative startups and MSMEs. We are integrating our production system. Like what I've said, there are many gaps in our production system. We need to link agriculture, manufacturing, and services together. We need to strengthen our innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem, upskill and reskill our workforce, and of course, improve our ease of doing business. I won't go into the specifics anymore in the interest of time. Next, please. Next slide. So here are our priority industries. Again, there are 15 priority industries. You have electrical, electronics, auto, aerospace, IT BPM, iron and steel, chemicals, agribusiness, shipbuilding, garments and furniture, transport, logistics, construction, innovation and R&D, of course, climate change, smart cities, digital trade, tourism, and the creative industry. Okay. Next, please. In the next slide, I am just sharing with you the more specific activities and sectors that we would like to pursue in electronics and electrical, for example, in automotive, and so on. We can probably move on to the next slide. And in here, I'm sharing with you, again, some areas, technology areas that we can pursue using technologies like voice recognition, for instance, artificial intelligence, AR, robotics, and 5G connectivity. I know we're still not there, but in the future, right? And industrial IoT, Internet of Things. We can create new products and solutions, like, for example, in smart buildings and smart home technology. And then the bullets, they would also indicate to us some areas where we could possibly go. Digital health, again, this is very important in the light of the COVID crisis, and in preparation as well for future pandemics. We need to ensure that the industries that we would be creating would be sustainable, resilient, and inclusive. And then you have e-gaming, you have smart assistants, vehicle technology. Well, in developed countries, they are already looking at flying cars, self-driving cars, and in our case, we are looking at the Eevee, okay? And then resilient technology, again, this is very important in the light of the crisis that we are now faced with, disaster preparedness and mitigation, cybersecurity, renewable energy, and then audio, video, and edtech. Now, edtech for our representatives from the academe. Again, this is very important. Next, please. So next slide. I would like to share as well, okay, this is our performance with respect to innovation. And this is based on the Global Innovation Index of 2019. And as you can see this, we try to track our performance in the last 3 years, 2017, 2018, 2019, and there's been a big jump, a very significant jump in terms of our ranking from 73 in 2017 and 2018 to rank 54 last year. And we're hoping that we'll be able to sustain and strengthen this position. Next, please. Next slide. And in terms of our innovation policy, we are closing the gaps in our innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem by strengthening government, academe, and industry collaboration. We are also strengthening our business and policy environment and continue to work with industry and academe in building a critical mass of creative talent. Again, this is very important. We are focusing our efforts as well on accelerating the commercialization of our R&D investments in order to create new products, new processes, and new business models. Next, please. So in here, I'm also sharing with you our policy, our regional innovation policy, which is geared towards building the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystems in the regions. And we are doing this through the establishment of regional inclusive innovation centers, which would serve as platforms that would link together the different stakeholders in the regions, the universities, our LGUs, the IPSOS and the ITSOS, R&D labs, S&T parks, accelerators and incubators, startups, MSMEs, large establishments, national government agencies, and others. And the focus is on addressing issues and industry issues and societal problems, applying technological solutions. And right now, there are 4 pilot areas. These are located in Davao, in CDO, in Cebu, as well as in Legazpi. And in this pilot RIICs, we conduct ideation, design workshops, R&D multi-stakeholder engagements, and we carry out all these activities in collaboration with DOST and NEDA. Next, please. Let me now also share with you the current state of our startup ecosystem, which is currently valued at 1.6 billion US dollars, sorry. And our major strengths are in fintech and e-commerce, and they are expected to grow at 24% and 26.4% in 2020, already taking into account the post-COVID scenario. And next, please. Next slide. So apart from the regional inclusive innovation centers, we are also planning to implement startup programs in order to provide more acceleration services, mentorship, industry matching and development support, as well as internationalization, though for now we are suspending the internationalization component, although there a lot of webinars and conferences that are being given online in order to expose our startups and link them with networks abroad. Okay, next please. In the next slide, we are also sharing with you our Industry 4.0 readiness initiatives. We are working with the UNIDO in crafting Industry 4.0 roadmaps for electronics, auto, aerospace, and agribusiness. We are also conducting a feasibility study for the establishment of an Industry 4.0 pilot factory, together with an Industry 4.0 SME Academy in order to provide Industry 4.0 trainings to our MSMEs. Right now, we're also working with AIM on the formulation of an AI roadmap. Our goal is to make the Philippines an AI center of excellence. And together with Dole and TESDA, we are also formulating a an Industry 4.0 in human resource development roadmap. Next, please. So in here, where are future skills and future roles headed? For future skills, of course, it's going to be more analytical thinking and innovation, creativity, originality, initiative, technology design and programming, complex problem solving, leadership, emotional intelligence would be very important. While for future roles would include data analysts and scientists, AI and machine learning specialists, IT services, automation specialists, e-commerce and social media specialists, human-machine interaction designers, training and development specialists. Next, please. In the next slide, this is like what I've said, we still do not have the funds as compared to what the huge amounts, relatively huge amounts that I've shared with you that our countries are pouring into their industries to help them prepare for Industry 4.0. In our case, we have a proposal, and this is the Securing Manufacturing Revitalization and Transformation program, and this is to help our MSMEs prepare for Industry 4.0. There would be global value chain upgrading, adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies to catalyze manufacturing growth and the economy, commercialization of innovation and R&D, development of emerging industries cluster activities that would address gaps in our supply and value chain, and of course, industrial development in the rural areas. And the amount that we're asking is really very small as compared to other countries. It's 25 to 30 billion in order to help us support our micro, small, and medium and large companies for a period of 3 years and help them prepare for Industry 4.0. Next, please. Next slide. Okay, we are also formulating an Eevee incentive strategy program to help jumpstart the development of the Eevee industry in the country. And this program would provide both fiscal and non-fiscal support covering areas such as regulations, incentives, R&D, HRD, and information, education, and communication to enable our traditional internal combustion engine industry to shift to electric vehicle. And initially, the focus would be on public utility vehicles. Next, please. Well, I'm showing to you as well some innovative startups and anti-COVID-19 activities, and mostly our startups really took advantage of, sorry, of the opportunities from the crisis, and they developed apps and other support tools that would address contact tracing, personal health assessment and monitoring, along with community monitoring. Okay, next please. I won't go through each because it's already 11. Anyway, and at the same time, I mean, our companies, our manufacturing firms, also actively engaged in repurposing their operations towards the production of COVID critical products. And for example, in the protective personal equipment, we have garments companies that went into the production of coveralls and gowns. And then, of course, there are already exporters present like Medtex and Yokoi Sada. But prior to the crisis, these two companies were only exporting their surgical masks, and they were not selling this locally. So with the crisis, of course, they had to sell and address the needs of the domestic market. And then there are new companies, electronics firms that are moving towards, well, they've already started. Like, for example, EMS is going to manufacturing 10 million surgical masks. And then there's also the New Kinpo Group, Everwin, that are going into masks and IR thermometers. And then the universities, they also went into the production of face shields, right? And then even alcohol, even liquor manufacturers like Distilleria Limtuaco, San Miguel, Asia Brewery, they also went in the production of ethyl alcohol. Okay, so next please. So reflecting our experience over the past 3 months, I think the pandemic has been an impetus to fast-track innovation with greater focus on resilience and sustainability. I think now more than ever, we've realized how important or how urgent the use of these new technologies has been to our country, to our lives. And there are, of course, there are challenges, but there are new opportunities that we can leverage to discover new, better, and more resilient ways of doing things. And this is what the innovative startups have been doing, and as well as our existing manufacturing companies that are repurposing towards the manufacture of COVID critical products. And second point is that new and powerful technologies such as AI and so on, e-commerce, digital trade will be shaping the high-tech, no-touch era of the future. Third point, enterprises which have greater innovation emerged resilient, and they even recorded gains amid the economic slowdown. And then lastly, what would be the role of Industry 4.0 in the post-COVID landscape? We can make use of Industry 4.0 technologies to ensure the survival of more companies and more organizations. The adoption of these technologies could also shorten the adaptation and recovery phase of businesses and help them resume normal operations as quickly as possible. And lastly, they can provide platforms to develop new, more resilient products, processes, systems, and operations in the medium to long term. Next, please. I think this is my last slide. So in order for us to do all this, and with the application of Industry 4.0 technologies, we need, number one, we need to embrace, this is, I think, for all of us, for industry, for government, and the academe and other stakeholders, we need to embrace Industry 4.0, use and adopt these new technologies to strengthen our competitiveness as well as the sustainability of our industries. And for the business sector, although I know there are no business sectors here, but maybe we can advise our stakeholders from the business community to really innovate, integrate into the digital economy, form industry clusters, and engage more in global collaboration. And companies must begin their digital transformation as soon as possible. And of course, government needs to provide the necessary support and create the necessary environment in order to allow this transformation to successfully happen. And for the academe, of course, we need to adopt programs to meet the demand for talent, which is created by Industry 4.0, and bridge the gap between basic research and commercialization. And lastly, all of us, we need to pursue stronger government, academe, industry collaboration to make the most of the advantages brought about by these technological developments. But let us remember that as we shift towards Industry 4.0, we need to ensure that no person, no enterprise, particularly our micro, small, and medium enterprises or region, is left behind. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there. I know this is so much. I gave you too much information. So let me stop. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Yusek, for a very informative presentation from the implications of Industry 4.0 to MSMEs, the readiness of the different industries, and our initiatives, especially on Industry 4.0 and the different innovation programs. We will now proceed to the question and answer portion. For the first question, we would like to recognize Mr. Nemencio from Surigao del Sur State University. Hello, Mr. Nemencio. You can directly ask your question to Yusek Aldaba. For the other participants, you can still post your question in the chat box so that we can address it. It seems that Mr. Nemesio is not around, so I'll just read his question, ma'am.
Okay. Na offline, si
Can I
Mr.
proceed now, sir?
Nemencio.
Okay, Mr. Nemesio, you can proceed.
Okay. Good morning. I am Dr. Loayon of Surigao del Sur State University. Good morning, Yusik.
Good morning po.
SDS issue is found in Mindanao, but it's still a progressive progressing university. Now, given our trust, which are fourfold functions, which are instruction, research, extension, and production. Now, we have our faculty who are also creative and they are into research and extension. But at times, we are constrained with our advocacy, much that we want to reach out with the DTI, especially the DTI is very rich in terms of data and very useful for our research, extension, and production. My question, how could we possibly link with DTI such that your advocacy for IR 4.0, especially with respect to our small, medium, and enterprise sector, could really be addressed so that our education would become relevant, responsive to the needs of our society. That's where we want our institution to become relevant. I understand that DTI have a very rich data, very useful, very relevant for our research, extension, and production. But unfortunately, we seem to be particularly could not really have that access with that. We need to align our curriculum with that. So we see the very vital role of DTI. Along that line, ma'am, how could we be assisted? How could we collaborate so that our development directions could be aligned with your directions also? Thank you so much, madam.
Maraming salamat po. Like what I've said, the plan po sana is really to make use of these regional inclusive innovation centers as the main platform that we will be using in terms of connecting with the different stakeholders in the region. So nakita nyo naman po kanina, we would really want to connect with you, especially with the academe. Yung emphasis ko po talaga, it's really how to connect with you, how to connect then government, yung academe industry. Kasi kaya po yung focus ng innovation really is regional. Hindi na po national kasi nakita naman natin it's really not going to work if we just focus at the national level. So ito po yung mga regional inclusive innovation centers. Pero po ito, 4 pa lang mga pilot nasa pilot stage, but for those na marami naman po din akong receive na requests in order for us to work together. So, ang ginagawa po namin ngayon, may bago po kaming website that we are creating all the information, lahat po ng studies and other information that we are collecting would be in that website. Hindi pa lang po namin nalo-launch. Right now, as we speak, it's being created, but the vision is really for us to be able to really connect with you. Siguro talagang kailangan po natin merong, of course, the risks are important, pero yung risks din po, wala pa namang talagang eksaktong mechanism. It's really all through the cooperation ng mga DTI regional offices, DOST regional offices, and NEDA. But apart from those, yun nga po, sana through the website, that we are creating, then we can all direct you in terms of the data needs. Ano po? So we can direct you to go to the website. But since wala pa ngayon po yung website, but really the plan is to have that app and app by siguro po in the next 2 months. No, yun po yung target natin. And i-flash ko po din siguro later yung email address ko and how you could get in touch with me for those na ngayon pa lang na makikilala ko. Siguro po din, I have to admit, baka kulang pa din po siguro yung ginagawa namin. While alam po ito I think I saw the name of Dr. Jinky dito kanina. Alam po ni Dr. Jinky yon. Now, we've been traveling talaga po across the different regions to explain, to provide information on Industry 4.0, yung importance ng innovation, and how to connect the different players. And paano yung research ng mga universities natin, paano natin ma-accelerate yung commercialization, and how can we help you in terms of linking with with industries who would have problems na pwedeng ma-solve ng mga industries. In fact, meron po akong project ngayon, and I'm actually looking for connections from the academe in Mindanao. Sorry po ha, Mindanao muna. Wala kasi po yung project would only fund the regions in Mindanao, and there are four crops that we are focusing on. How can we innovate in cacao, in cacao, meaning from yung entire supply chain, no, from the production down to the manufacturing and marketing. So if the academe or if yung mga startups could help us find solutions that would increase the incomes and productivity and competitiveness of farmers and workers, manufacturers in cacao, in coffee, in fruits and nuts and coconut, please get in touch with me po. So, i-type ko po mamaya dun sa chat yung email address ko, and if you have these capabilities po, please get in touch with me, and we'll discuss na lang po siguro offline. Ano po?
And I have a follow-up question. We are a multi-campus university with 7 campuses, which includes College of Agriculture, Fisheries, and the rest. So we have our innovation center, SDSU Innovation Center, and what we are needing is now the assistance on how we are going to advance the product of our research and innovation, so in order to lead for that commercialization components. Thank you so much, Madam. Later we will be able to connect with you. Thank you so much.
Sayang po kung hindi lang bawal magbiyahe. Talaga po ako personally ay yung mga sumusulat po sa akin, I personally go dun sa university para makita ko po, and then we do some assessment, tapos together gumagawa po kami ng mga activities na pwedeng i-pursue ni DTI and the university. Pero at the same time, we also involve other agencies and other stakeholders para ma-ensure po natin na maging successful yung partnership po natin. So, please get in touch with me, sir, later.
Yusek, follow up na lang po.
I will
Sorry.
type my email.
Thank you so much po.
Yusek, follow
Yes,
up
sir.
on
Thank
the
you.
question, sir. Yusek, this is RD Serrano from DOST5.
Ay, hello, RD.
Yes po, ma'am. Follow up lang dun siguro sa tanong ni sir kasi we were discussing, the first time we met, we were discussing yung startup development program kasi the intention is to commercialize the innovation katulad po nung sinasabi ni sir, no? So my question actually is there a way that we can actually link the startup development program with the product of the RIIC, the innovation, inclusive investment innovation centers, yung RIC natin?
Yes, sir. Talaga pong pwede pong pwedeng teka po. So ka-coordinate niyo po ba sila Sila wala na si RD Joy, nag-retire na. So si ARD, ka-coordinate niyo po? If you can coordinate po with our regional officials din po, plus if you can involve me as well. Kaya po ipapamigay ko po yung lahat ng contact details ko para alam ko din po kung ano yung mga nangyayari, and at the same time I could provide the appropriate guidance dun po sa mga yung mga events and the developments that are happening in the region. Kung pwede nga lang po, idala na ako sa region para mas malapit ako sa inyo. But with the technology, meron naman pong Viber, may Twitter, not Twitter, but Viber and other social media platforms. Pwede po tayong mag-usap, gawa po tayo ng mga Viber groups para makita po natin yung the more granular details nung lahat ng mga gusto po nating gawin. But right now, like what I've said, may RIICs, and for those areas na wala pong RIICs, please get in touch directly with me or get in touch with our regional directors dyan po sa iba't ibang regions ng bansa, and they would then relay the message to me. Tapos pagplanuhin po natin kung how do we link you with, for example, potential customers here in NCR, or those potential investors then, and then how can we support you in all of your efforts to innovate, improve the competitiveness of your startups, and how to ensure na ma-commercialize po natin yung mga research projects nyo dyan sa iba't ibang mga universities in the regions.
Ma'am, I was talking about
I'm so open, and we are working together with DOST on this. Yan sila RD, and our own RDs are very active, and kami rin po dito sa national, yung mga counterparts ko po sa DOST, first time na talagang nangyayari po yung ganitong collaboration, and we want you to join us in all of these efforts kasi magiging successful lang po ito. For me po, this is I will call this I will label this as a success kung ang magbe-benefit would be people from the regions. If we can come up and do carry out yung mga meaningful projects which would really mean mga bagong products dun sa mga regions natin. Yun po sa akin ang dahilan bakit gusto po natin gawin itong lahat ng ito. Gusto po natin na tumaas yung income, mag-benefit yung mga consumers, and ma-upgrade po yung quality ng mga interactions natin with each other.
Thank you, Mr. Nemencio and Mr. Romel, for your question. Ma'am, I think one of the follow-up questions regarding the collaborations with DTI for the SUCs, is there a specific office in the DTI where these SUCs can contact in terms of
Opo.
the need for their program, especially
Opo.
the research extension group?
Meron po, yung kakagawa pa lang po na itong aming grupo na to. As you know, yung even my own office, yung Competitiveness and Innovation Group, 1-year-old pa lang po ito, and then within the group, we created a division. Ito po yung Innovation and Collaboration group or division. So ito po yung magiging contact office for all the innovation and competitiveness related activities, queries, data, Industry 4.0, lahat po doon natin i-direct. So I'll write down before po tayo umalis. I'll write down the contact all my contact addresses. And in fact po si DAP can provide actually sa lahat ng mga nandito po.
Yes.
Lalo na po yung mga nagtanong kanina.
Okay.
Sila, sir.
Thank you, Yusek. We'll now proceed to the next question. The next question will be from Mr. Cesar of TESDA. Mr. Cesar, are you still online?
Yes, sir. Good morning po.
Okay, sir, you can now ask your question.
Yusek, Aldaba, good morning po.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you nga pala sa support sa CMMT when we presented this to test.
Oh, yes.
Marami. Ma'am, my question is that the study you presented before, it shows that agriculture sector has the highest probability for automation. However, are there investors willing to venture in this project or technologies, the integration of technology? Then, second question po, ma'am, is that what is DTI's plan so that the small-scale farmer can afford the technology? That's my first question, ma'am. Dala po kasi yung tanong ko.
Okay. So doon po sa number 1, sir, whether there are investors, we continuously promote yung modernization ng ating agricultural sector. Like what I've said, mechanization phase pa po tayo. So we really need to introduce these new technologies para po mas maging productive yung ating agricultural sector. And syempre po, if the productivity and the competitiveness of the sector would increase, that's going to translate to, syempre po, expanded production. And it's going to bring down the cost. And importante po yung pagbaba ng presyo. Hindi lang bababang presyo, kundi magandang quality. Yun po yung, that's the beauty of innovation. So, ang makikinabang po dyan, hindi lang yung ating mga consumers, especially those na nasa mga low income groups, but also para sa mga industries natin na gumagamit as inputs ng mga raw materials and other products coming from the agricultural sector. And even po si Secretary Dar, same po yung kanyang focus. It's really towards modernizing the agricultural sector. So, magkasama po kami dyan, si DTI and DA in terms of promoting the agricultural sector and its adoption of new technologies. Kung how will we support yung mga small-scale farmers? Una po, yung mga farmers po, kasi ano po yan, si DA po ang may mandato. So, alam naman po natin na yun po, collaboration yung ginagawa natin, pero hindi po natin pinapangunahan si DA in terms of yung pag-implement ng mga programs, for example, for the farmers. Pero through this, ngayon po, merong rapid project, And this rapid project, yung binanggit ko po kanina na may apat na crops that we will be focusing on, ito po may funds, and we are helping yung mga small-scale farmers in the 4 sectors, coffee, cacao, coconut, and fruits and nuts, para po tumaas yung income, para po lumaki yung production, mas maging, paano natin magawa, no, na mas innovative or tulungan yung mga farmers na maintindihan nila ano yung kahalagahan nitong mga bagong technologies na pwede nating dalhin. So, doon po sa project na mine-mention ko, the Rapid, and yun po, kung interesado kayo, please get in touch with me. Kung innovation po siya or any competitiveness increasing activity na gustong i-lead ng mga tao sa universities or gustong i-lead, pwede din, TESDA, we can partner para dun sa Industry 4.0 training needs ng ating mga small farmers. Maybe we can also do something like that. If wala pang program si TESDA, we can design that together. So, pagtutulong-tulungan po natin yan. It's a whole of government approach. So tayo po lahat ay will pool our resources together kasi ito lang talaga po yung paraan by which we would be able to address po yung, well, ultimately naman po yung problema is really poverty. Ultimately po, why are we adopting all these new technologies? It's really to make, not only, we are making our industries more competitive, more productive, kasi in the end, ito po ang sasagot sa poverty. Ito po ang magiging sagot dun sa mga kakulangan sa trabaho. And ito rin po yung magiging sagot in terms of attracting investment. Sino naman ang mag-i-invest kung ang iyong industriya ay hindi competitive? Siyempre po, high risk yun. So walang magkaka-interest. And that's the reason why we are focusing our policies in terms of mga innovation programs, in terms of adoption, pag-embrace sa mga Industry 4.0 technologies. Kasi po, ultimately, this will all lead to improvements in our incomes, generation of more jobs, more investments, higher growth. And syempre, pag maganda po yung sitwasyon ng bansa, mas maraming magkaka-interest ng mga foreign investors, include not just domestic investors. So, yun po yung, yun po yung sikreto ng mga matagumpay and successful countries. It's really innovation, productivity, competitiveness. Yun na po yun. Huwag niyo pong kalimutan yung framework na binigay ko po kanina sa inyo. Hindi niyo po natatanong, ako po, before po ako nagtrabaho sa DTI, researcher po ako ng maraming taon, all the years of my life, yung productive years ko po, researcher po ako doing work on industrial development, doing work on investment, SMEs, halos lahat ng mga yung mga economic areas, and pinag-aralan ko pong mabuti ito. At hindi po ako magre-recommenda ng mga policies kung hindi po evidence-based. So, yun po yung pinanggagalingan ng mga programs and activities that I am suggesting. Anyway, masyado na po sumobra na po ako doon. Sige, back to you, Peter.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Yusek. Thank you, Mr. Cesar. Our next question will be from Ms. Hazel Ignacio from the Agusan del Sur State College of Agriculture and Technology. Ms. Hazel?
Good morning po sa lahat. Hi ma'am, good morning.
Good morning.
Related po ito sa question ni Mr. Cesar kanina about sa mechanization ng agriculture, and it is really great po if ma-automate na po yung processes sa PH, especially yung related sa agriculture for more efficient production. But the only downside po, especially here in our place, which is a rural area, is that yung mga tao na usually nagpo-provide ng services, kapag ma-automate na siya, so mawawalan po sila ng source of income, and usually they belong to the lower income sector. Question ko lang po, yung mga private individuals po ba na yun, pwede po ba silang lumapit sa DTI to ask assistance para makapagsimula ng own business nila para hindi naman sila zero income talaga at saka parang hindi kasi yun ang yung iba po kasi nagrereklamo talaga na bakit may mga bagong technology na kasi nawawalan sila ng trabaho. So maybe if ang government makaka-provide sa kanila ng assistance, then maybe they will also promote the mechanization of agriculture.
Tama po yun. Thank you. Thank you. Pero liwanagin ko lang po, while I've been advocating, I think the entire time, no, I kept repeating, embrace Industry 4.0 technologies. Pero po, alam natin na may mga jobs that will be displaced. So kaya
Yes.
po kaya may yun sabi ko, no, na disruptive itong mga technologies na to. So yung plano po natin, yung strategy natin is really to be, alam ko po hindi ito madali, pero kailangan talaga ibabalance naman natin. Hindi naman po overnight mangyayari na, oh, bukas wala na kayong trabaho kasi makina na ang gagawa nitong lahat ng ito. Hindi ko naman po yun na-envision. Hindi po ganun kadali yun. So it's really going to be a gradual process. And yung pag-adapt po natin ng mga technologies, pag-aaralan din po yan. Kaya po may mga feasibility studies that we will be, or feasibility studies that must be conducted to ensure that the technology that we will be bringing is something na suited dun sa lugar, suited dun sa capabilities ng mga tao. So marami ka pong balancing act na gagawin. Bakit mo naman kung ang kinakailangan lang isang segment or isang stage dun sa entire production process ang kailangang i-mechanize. Ganun po yun. Hindi naman po bukas ay wala ng trabaho kasi puro robots na ang magtatanim. Hindi po, or puro robots na ang gagawa ng lahat. Siguro po, uunahin would be the more, yung parang mga back-breaking tasks, no? Or yung mga risky, mga dangerous, yun po talagang kailangan natin ng mga machines. Pero at the same time, siguro talaga, yung sabi kong balancing na gagawin natin, certain portions lang, no? Siguro unahin yung mga riskier, dangerous, backbreaking, yung sobra naman yung hirap ng tao para gawin yon, meron namang makina. So, side by side, magtatrabaho yung machine at yung tao. That way, hindi mawawalan ng trabaho yung mga tao. Hindi po ganon. Kailangan gradual din, pag-aralang mabuti kung kaya kailangan po natin yung mga tao sa academy. Kasi sino ang mas nakakaintindi ng condition sa regions kung hindi po yung ating mga universities, kasi po kayo yung on the ground. Hindi naman po tayo magdadala ng mga foreign, siguro pwede rin magdala ng mga foreigners, pero lang sila, advisors, but still, yung mga decisions, evidence-based, and nandun yung mga local talents natin who would really help us in terms of understanding yung situation on the ground and coming up with really mga practical recommendations, taking into account na may mga tao tayo na mawawala ng trabaho if we're going to mechanize everything. Kasi hindi po ganun yung hindi po ganun yung isinusulong ko. Ang sa akin po, we need to balance and we need to make sure na yung mga tao hindi mawawala ng trabaho. And at the same time, yung mga trainings po na sinasabi, binabanggit ko po kanina kay Mr. Cesar, galing sa TESDA, it's really, pag dumating po yung mga machines, syempre, kailangan pa rin, may trabaho pa rin yung mga tao, hindi naman po sila mawawala ng work kasi kung sino mag-ooperate ng machine? Di po ba? So, meron pa pong trabaho yung ating mga farmers, except tuturuan natin sila, bibigyan sila ng mga bagong skills, mga bagong trainings to enable them to operate all these machines and yun, mag-upgrade, tumaas yung productivity. At pag tumaas po yung productivity, ibig pong sabihin nun, mataas na wages.
Okay. Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am Hazel. So because of the limited time, we can only accommodate at least 2 more questions. So the second to the last question will be from Dr. Amando Oliva from the Camarines Sur Polytechnic College, Region 5. Dr. Amado?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Ay, good morning. Good morning, Ma'am Yusek Aldaba.
Morning
Good
po.
morning po. I am the Director of Extension of Camarines Sur Polytechnic Colleges, and we have a very strong partnership with DTI Camarines Sur through action. Since one of the mandates of the college is extension, now, ang tanong ko po, how to connect Industry 4.0 to the community through DTI?
Sa CamSur, so pwede pong may RIIC po tayo sa Legazpi, sir.
Opo.
Baka po pwede bang may mga provincial offices, so pwede pong siguro i-course through po natin yung lahat ng support through the RIIC in Legazpi. And like what I've said po earlier, maybe kung meron po kayong konkretong mga proposals or kung meron pong mga tanong, may mga issues na kailangan po tayong i-address. Sige po, sir. If you can copy yung opisina po namin dito sa Maynila, the Innovation and Collaboration Division of the Competitiveness and Innovation Group. Yung mga numbers po, lalagay po natin mamaya, tsaka yung pangalan din po ng aking mga staff na i-alert po natin. Pero i-copy nyo rin po ako para alam ko. Pero kahit po sa staff ko ibibigay, makukuha ko naman po yon para ma-connecta po natin yung mga future potential activities na pwede po natin gawin together, and at the same time makatulong po din kami. And besides po, yung aming plano po talaga ngayon is really to expand yung ginagawa ng RIICs. And by expand, I mean, hindi na lang po yung Bicol University, for example, yung aming kakausapin. But we want to engage with more universities, with more partners dun po sa area. So,
Yes, po, ma'am. Kasi
mag-communicate po tayo, Mr. Sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, Dr. Amado.
Yes po. Yes po.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
Yes
Amado.
po.
So
Kasi ma'am, for the information of the good day,
yes, sir. It seems
Naputol yata si sir.
Okay. So,
Sir, nakat po yata kayo? Okay.
Yes, sir. You may proceed, sir.
hello po,
So
hello
your-
po, ma'am. Okay po. For the information of the good USEC Aldaba, that our institution is very strong when it comes to extension services, especially to the community. So what I really want is to really bring 4.0 industry to the community, especially the marginalized sectors of our partner communities. Kaya interesado po kami talaga na at least matulungan po natin yung ating mga sa amin within Camarines Sur. Kasi nga, one of the reasons why we connected with DTI Camarines Sur, this is more on consumers' action for the protections of consumers. So with this particular program of DTI, so malaking bagay po ito, talagang matulungan po natin yung ating mga kababayan, especially yung nasa outskirt, yung mga nasa laylayan, para po at least mabago naman yung kanilang pamumuhay. So yun po talaga ang, kumbaga, yun po ang gusto namin na madala, especially this industry 4.0, which I know is really beneficial to the community.
Yes, sir.
Yun
Sir,
na po,
gawin po natin yan. Sir, please get in touch. And if you have already some ideas in mind, meron pong activities that we can fund, sige po, get in touch with me, with the office.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will do it po.
Yes,
So,
sir.
i-address mo na lang po
Dr.
sa inyo, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Aldaba.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Apo,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you very much. Okay po.
Yusek, it seems that
Apo.
most of the concerns of the SUCs when it comes to collaborating with them from the DTI part to the different research and extension groups on how they can use your programs in helping their constituents or beneficiaries. So as mentioned by Yusek Aldaba, she will provide you the details of the contact details of her office and her staff from the different regional office so that the
Yes,
different SUCs, especially the research, extension, and development group can communicate and contact them so that you can have a collaborative partnership. Okay?
Yes po. Thank you very
It
much.
looks like we've covered a lot of questions. So, Yusek Aldaba, is there anything else you wanted to leave them before we wrap up?
Oo nga, tinatype ko na po yung aking email, but
Okay.
sobra po talaga akong natutuwa na we have this opportunity to communicate. Parati po ako nagpe-present dito sa Maynila, but parati po it's the usual people. Hindi naman po sa napapagod ako na it's the usual audience that I engage with, pero mas natutuwa po ako kasi I'm able to reach out dun sa mga tao sa regions, dun sa mga universities, yung mga counterparts ko po din po sa iba't ibang mga regions. Maraming salamat po. Ako po talaga ay kung pwede nga lang po, no, yung regularly meron tayong communication para siguro po yung collaboration na sinasabi ko kanina ay talagang ma-actionan po natin at hindi lang yung in parang sinasabi kundi in yung po yung mga actions natin and mga next steps talagang makapag-gawa po tayo ng mga activities together. And ito naman po, meron tayong technology na available. Kahit na lockdown, kahit na hindi po kami pwedeng pumunta sa mga regions, but siguro po, pwedeng umpisahan po natin through mga ganitong platforms, online platforms. So kung gusto nyo pong maggawa po tayo ng mas specific na mga activities dyan sa mga regions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Ano po, ito, sinusulat ko na po yung email address ko and talaga pong gagawin ko ang lahat para po yung mga pinresent ko kanina, magawa po talaga natin sa region. So, yun po, meron naman pong hindi naman po masyadong magastos yung mga ganitong webinars. Kaya pwede po tayong magkaroon siguro ng mga meetings para mas makapag-craft po tayo ng mga activities na talagang pattern kung ano po yung kailangan gawin natin at the regional level. At maging maano po natin, ma-refine po natin. Kasi yung mga sinasabi ko po, tingin ko, ano pa yun parang general. Mas gusto ko po talaga na regional or localized yung mga solutions, whatever it is, whatever economic or innovation activities that we will pursue, yun po, yung talagang suited kung ano po yung mga kailangan gawin doon sa regional level. Sige po, marami pong salamat and hanggang sa uulitin, umpisa pa lang po ito and I'm looking forward na makapag-engage pa po tayo in the coming days.
Again, thank you, Yusek Aldaba, for a very informative presentation and for accommodating all the questions with your exhaustive answers. So that ends our open forum. We would like to express our gratitude to Yusek for accepting our invitation and for always supporting capacity building initiatives in the public sector. So before we end today's session, may we request everyone to turn on their video for the documentation purposes. So kindly turn on po yung video nyo po so that you can be included po sa documentation. I know some of you will not be able to see it on your video, waiting for the others to turn on their video.
I-distribute ba yung picture natin sa lahat?
Part po ma'am ng ng documentation report.
Oh, akala ko may kopya ba kami yung picture natin?
We can provide you, ma'am.
Class picture, Yusek.
Yes,
Class
class
picture.
po.
Hi, Ma'am Dedeng.
Okay. Thank you, and that concludes our first webinar session.
Thank
See you
you.
all on our next webinar session scheduled on July 3, 2020 at the same time to discuss understanding Industry 4.0 for MSMEs and to dwell on particular technologies affecting the manufacturing industry and MSMEs. The Google Meet will the Google Meet link will be sent to your respective email addresses at least a day before the event. For the evaluation of the resource and session
Thank you.
for the session, kindly click the link in the chat box so that we can final validate your attendance. So you can complete it after leaving the platform. So the link will only be available for 15 minutes after the session ends. It was a pleasure hosting you this morning. We look forward to meeting you all on week 2 of our webinar series. God bless us all and keep safe and thank you. Goodbye.
Oh, may limit.
So we will post the link in the chat box for the session and resource person evaluation form. So your feedback will be valuable for us in improving the delivery of this webinar session. So kindly click the link in the chat box. This will also be used to monitor and validate your attendance.
Ha? Hindi nag-may briefing ko, man bago na kayo pero sa amin kasi bago nag-interview ko may ibang property na nag-meeting